Good day, everyone. Kathy here, welcoming you to this episode of the Scrap and Crafty Gardener. Today, I am making a card based on this past Friday's Craft Roulette Challenge number 266. If you are not familiar with Craft Roulette, you have really got to check it out. I will have a link in the description box below. Just click on more, and that will take you to the Craft Roulette episode from this past Friday. It's a craft challenge where on Friday nights they spin a wheel, and then they tell you what project you need to make, what colors you need to use, elements and random things you need to throw on your card. So I am going to be making a card today. I did a little bit of die cutting. I'm going to do stamping, lots of stamping, a little bit of heat embossing, and just some alcohol ink coloring. So today I'm going to make my usual 5x7 card, because for this project, it needs to be an A7 card, which is the US 5x7. The colors I need to use are of a floral wreath. It has to have lyrics in it somewhere, and you randomly have to have 5 or 5 on it. So I've chosen my floral wreath. If I had one on my door, it would be pink and white with touches of gray, just a nice spring, almost Easterish color. So I'm using my 10 inches by 7 inches, scored it at the 5-inch line, folded it, crease it with my bone folder. Then I have a piece of white that is 6 3/4 by 4 3/4, and that's going to go on the inside simply because it's pink, and I like to have white on the inside. And then I chose a gray. This is 6 3/8 by 4 3/8, and then a white, and this is the stitched white, 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. And I use GinaK's Master Layouts 8 for this so that it'll fit very nicely together. And then I have this scalloped open-edged circle die. I don't know what company this is from. This measures 3 7/8 inch across. And then I will be using a tapestry embossing folder by GinaK, and it's called Tapestry. It's one of my newer ones from her, and I love it. And I'll be using some of the stamps from Simon Says Stamps Vintage Love Notes. And then this gorgeous Zentangle cat stamp. I got this several years ago at Adventures in Stamping. I thought it was Northwoods, but it's not Northwoods. They usually have their names on them. But it was a company like that. Okay, I'm going to get started. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is, since I want to emboss this card, and I only want to partially emboss it, because I want to use this sentiment, adored and loved, and I want that to be in the bottom corner. So I need to figure out where my embossing folder will stop at. So if I put this in, I want enough hanging out. Let's move everything aside to make a little bit more room. I'm going to want enough hanging out that I can stamp that adored and loved without getting it embossed by the folder. And that looks good. I just want to make sure it's straight and even. I'll pull that side out a little bit more. And now I'll use my larger plates for this. And I'm just going to run that through really quickly. Okay. And that's what you get with a partial emboss. I love that tapestry folder. And I see there's a little bit of a lag in the video recording. I do apologize for that. And you figure it's a beautiful weather day, and that's usually when things happen. All right, now I'm going to stamp this because I want to heat emboss this adored and loved. I'm going to get this part done first. There's still a lot more stamping, but this is the only one that's going to require my Misty. And adored and loved. Pardon me, I seem to be losing my voice. And I have not used this particular stamp, so it will need to be conditioned. And that just means running your finger, or if you have an eraser that will do this, fingers work just as well. And I'm going to use my anti-static powder tool because I want to heat emboss. And then I'm just going to use my Versamark stamp pad. And I'm going to stamp that down a couple of times just to make sure I have enough on here. That looks good. And I'll wipe that off with my tidy towel. And I think I'm going to move my camera up a little bit more so you can see more of my work surface. Hopefully that didn't make anyone dizzy or seasick. Put that back. Now I'm just going to get a piece of scrap paper that I use for embossing on, and I'll be using Wow embossing powder. It's primary ebony and it's super fine. You just need a little. Always tap off any extra. Make sure it's all covered up. Well, my goodness. All right. You try to make the bottle. I should always use 2 pieces of scrap paper, one underneath and one on top. I just use a Swiffer to try and get that up as best as I can. And that'll do for now. I don't need. Okay. Now I'm just going to use, feel free to mute right now because I'm going to use my old Doris heat tool. It does make a lot of noise, and my camera doesn't mute itself. I better put the ink cover back on. All right. Done. I just love heat embossing. Okay, now I can set this aside for just a little bit. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue it together. I'm going to glue it to the gray, and then I will set my large acrylic block on top of this just to hold it down. You see, when you heat emboss, when you apply heat to the paper, it tends to curl one way or the other, which is why I apply heat to the front and the back to try and minimize the warping. Match that up. Now I'm just going to sit this up here with my large acrylic block on it. Okay. Now I am going to stamp on this circle. I do need my stamping platform for this. I'll just put that right there. And I'm going to use the Zentangle Cat. I'm going to stamp it first, and then I am going to mask it off and stamp over top of it. And yes, you can use red rubber stamps in your MISTI. You have to be careful. You want to watch the hinges. My MISTI is so old that I am not worried about it. It's no longer under a warranty if it ever had one. I'm going to do one more inking. All right. And I'll clean that off with my tidy towel. Now I'm going to leave this in here even though I'm going to hand stamp. I want to take, for my song lyrics, I'm going to cover it with two aspects. I'm going to take this Adore You and I want to stamp it down here. And then, because I think My Eyes Adore You from the song. So Adore You is part of the lyric. And then Kiss Me Darling, because I love you. And Kiss Me Darling is a song lyric. I don't know I honestly haven't heard it, but I checked it out and it is an actual lyric. The Adore You, I am going to stamp with the Misty because I want that to be nice and dark black. And I have not used this stamp, so I am going to condition it. And I'm going to use my VersaFine Clear. And one or two more possibly. And I got it right. I wanted it so that the curve of the U is going up into that one cat's tail. And I did it. Now I'm going to put the mask on. Now what I did for the mask is I stamped this cat stamp on masking paper. It's a low tack sticky paper. And I just want to cover up the majority of the cat. It doesn't have to be totally. I should say cats, plural. And I'll put this one back. Now I'm going to take a hand stamp for that Kiss Me Darling and Soft Stone by GinaK. And I just want to do a very light inking, kind of like all over this thing. I'm making like a background. But I did not want this to appear on the cats themselves, which is why I put the mask down. And it's okay if it's not perfectly inked, if it's not straight. It's just to create an element of your design, if that makes sense. Now I'm going to move this over because this block is larger than my Misty. And I think just a smidgen over here. Well, I think I want the far edge, so let's see. Well, I'm going to go down right along there. And that'll give me. Throw that in there. Okay. Done stamping. Clean that off. Now I'm sure that Kiss Me Darling song is probably good. I kind of stopped. There are some new songs that are okay, but I pretty much am stuck in the 70s with my music style. Now I'm just going to pull my mask off. And now I'm going to color my kitties. And I'm going to stick with the pink and the blue theme. I've got some pinks here. I think this is my lightest color. I got pinks and grays and like a blue gray. And I'm just going to color down a couple spots on the cat. I'm just kind of hitting and missing here and there and a little bit of everywhere. Okay, and then I'm going to grab another pink. Let's see. That was RV192 Queen Pink. Now I'm going to do RV910 Light Hot Pink. And I'm going to go for the ear. Oh yeah, that is a nice hot pink. If you have these stamps or know which company created them, if you could let me know, I'd love to give them credit because I love these stamps. Of course, I love cats, so almost had a new cat join my family today. I've been feeding strays for any stray animal that comes to my porch will get food. And there's one cat outside that is pretty much all white, only he has a little orange tabby heart on his back end near his tail. And then his tail is orange and white striped, kind of like a possum's. Well, he's been here for a couple years and he's very skittish. If I go near the window, he would run away. But the last couple of days, he's been sitting out in the backyard and I can look out the window and see him. Well, today I went out to take care of the gardening and he stayed there and I talked to him for a little bit. And then I noticed he disappeared. And then I thought, uh-oh, I need to go get some more seeds. So I came back in the house, headed down to the basement. Now I'm going to use 194 medium pink. And there's a streak of white. Once you know, George decided to invite himself into the garage. That was my fault for leaving the door open. He kind of got freaked out a little bit and got almost stuck in the tomato cages. But I calmly talked to him and then I went on past. And then he disappeared. I definitely don't want another indoor cat. I already have 4. But if he can be calmed enough that maybe get him to a vet, checked for a chip, maybe he's someone's lost pet for the past few years. Or maybe if is truly all alone, I can find him a good loving home. But I called him George. Any of you grew up when I did, there was a cartoon on. I forget even what the cartoon was, but all I remember, it's a big chicken that hugs somebody and says, I'm going to love him and call him George. And that's all I remember of it. All right, I'm not going to use this other pink. That's good for the pink. Now I'm going to get in my blue grays. Okay, I'm going to start with my blues. MG031 blue gray. And I don't need to do a whole lot of actual zentangling because this stamp does it for you. I just am coloring in the spots. Oh, I'm liking the blues on here. Okay. But it's a gray enough blue that it matches the color combo that I was going for. All right. Just kind of hitting and missing with the colors. Just whatever my mind is telling me to do. All right. And then the next color down is MG030, which is also blue-gray. I think I'll go down the center of this. Looks like a spine. And I think I'm actually even going to leave some of the spots just white. Perhaps. Don't know for sure. All right, now I want to get into the actual grays. I've got 2 grays picked out, but I think I'm only going to use BG042 Cool Gray. Yeah, I'm going to leave some of these spots white. It just, my mind is telling me that it looks good that way. Okay, that's it for the coloring. So now let me get this card put together. I'm going to put the inside. I do like my precision press, and the glue is actually holding up well. It's currently filled with the Nuvo glue. The Tombow glue is my actual favorite. All right. And this I want to put down, but there, I don't know if you can see, when you partial emboss, sometimes you get a very light, a very faint ridge across. I'm going to use, I thought I had them right here. I want to use a silver strip. So I'm going to put you on pause and correct that. Hold on. Not very long. They were right behind me. Some of these are etched, scalloped, and then some of them are just straight lines. These are from StampOnIt.net or Eureka Stamps. And I just want to go right across where that line is. And then I'm going to trim off the edges. Now, if I would have thought I would have done this before I put it on the gray backing, but I can trim it right up close. Now I'm going to glue this one down flat, and then I'm going to pop up the cats. And I'm going to use my, oh, it didn't fall. I have this new 5/16 inch ruler from Cricut Creations. And if you put this square in the corner and line up your edges and then put your card down, you have a perfectly square placement. I like this. I have found that if you're using GinaK's Master Layouts 8 on a 5x7 card, use the 5/16 and it gets you perfectly square. That was a good investment because my cards tend to go downwards a little bit. Now, to pop this up, I've got these old circle dots, and I'm going to use these strips of where the circles have already been cut out. It's a sticky. And I'm just going to put both pieces down, and that'll use up this piece. And use my new tool. This is extra sticky. The tool doesn't work when these things are extra sticky. Well, of course, it's meant for individual ones, not the whole piece. But I thought that was just a good size, and I wanted to use that up, and it worked great. All right, now this, I want to put kind of right there. Now, I have to embellish it, of course, and I have to add element of 5 in here somehow. So I'm going to add 5 little embellishments. All right. And I think, let me check. No, I think this is too hot pink. So let me just try it on a scrap of paper here. Ooh, that would be pretty though. Okay, we're doing 5 little stickle spots on this card. This one I want a little bit more. All right. And I'm just going to plain old stickles, and I'm going to use, oh, what color? Oh, Crystal has a little bit of pink tone to it. So I'm going to stickle up the cats. Of course I am. Just put a little on and then spread it around. Put a little down on the tail. This would make a great anniversary card or a sweetest day card. Just for your special someone who's also a cat lover. Okay, that's my card for today. Let's see if I've met all the parameters. It has to be an A7 card. Check. The colors are a floral wreath, and my floral wreath was pinks and whites and grays. Check. Element lyrics, I've got adore you for I adore you, or my eyes adore you. Lyrics, I also have Kiss Me Darling from that song. And for 5, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pink stickles dots. Well, thank you so much for watching. Please check out Craft Roulette. You will absolutely love it. And I will catch you later. Have a great rest of your day.